This is Dying Your Way.
Welcome everyone to the Dying Your Way podcast. My name's Claire O'Berry and I am your host. It is going to be a very moving interview today. I have a beautiful person, Prema Paxton, who will be my guest today, and it's just an honor to have her. I've known Prema for several years and was very moved after she lost her son Lance a couple of years ago. And it was a very tragic and unexpected death. And just to frame what we're going to be talking about, I just wanted to give you the statistic that I thought couldn't be right. So I double checked it, but it's sadly true that around the world, 3 out of 4 overdose deaths are accidental, and nearly half involve fentanyl or synthetic opioids. And behind those staggering numbers, there are sons and daughters and parents and families that are just shattered in an instant, and the impossible grief that they're left with. So one of the reasons why I wanted to interview Prema is because she has already had an incredible background with, a master level yoga instructor and shiatsu practitioner and knows Chinese medicine. And, I already knew her in that world. But because of the tragedy of losing her son, Lance, she got her grief educator certification and has started working with an organization called LITT, which we will Love in the Trenches, which we will be talking about some more. And I have just been on the sidelines with all of her friends all over the world, really amazed at the grace and dignity and the vulnerability that she shared as she has been going through her grief process. And one of the things that I'm going to quote her now, because it just is so to the core of who she is and how she's handled her grief. She said that what she's discovered since Lance has passed away is what she calls the deep love that's at the bottom of grief. So Burma is someone who has turned tragedy into service, and she is continually offering a light to others walking through darkness. And she's just got a lot for me to learn from today, and I know my audience will appreciate it as well. So I want to welcome my honored guest today, a beautiful soul, Prema Paxton.
Hi, Claire.
Hey, Prema. Thank you so much for coming on. I'm just really and putting up with our technical issues. You're in Sweden, I'm in Western Australia, and things happen.
Things happen, a lot of space in between, and yet here we are, still connected, still connected beyond time and space. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I encourage you to talk about anything that comes up for you, and if you're uncomfortable with anything, I mean, just stop me if I ask something that feels uncomfortable too. But I really want to start the interview just by hearing about Lance and who he was, and anything you want to share about who he is. And I also want to know about your other family and your children and how they're doing. And so I'll just hand it over to you.
Yeah. Thank you, Claire. And thank you for the beautiful introduction. And I do want to, well, I'm going to start with this beautiful boy. This beautiful,
Love the hat. Love the hat.
this beautiful young man. This hat is what you wear when you graduate from high school in Sweden. And that beautiful smile. And he's the reason. He's the reason that me and my family, are on this we never expected this unseen journey, and it's been a journey of brokenness and openness. We all will say we are going to live life better because of Lance.
Yeah. Where did he actually pass away? Where was he?
He was in Berkeley,
Okay.
California. So it was 2022 actually.
Okay.
And it was the height of the fentanyl epidemic. And many parents in the grief group that I lead for LITT, many of the parents they've lost their child from that time.
Wow.
And from most of them are from fentanyl poisoning. And the fentanyl poisoning means that, like, when Lance got this pill, he was going through an emotional time, like most 20-year-olds. He had graduated from high school. He was taking a couple of years off. And 2 weeks later, he was going to be taking a plane back to Sweden to check out universities. So he wanted to spend time in the U.S. with family. He was there for 10 months. And the irony is Lance was like this wild spirit. He was always wanted to try things. Like, he was the one that jumped from the highest cliff. God. To make your heart. So, a part of me felt like I felt like he was safe in Sweden, because a lot of the crazy things that were happening in the US, and especially when we were living in LA, and sometimes the high schools were shut down, which was one of the impetus for us to move. Yeah. So to countryside in Sweden. And then here he is, like 2 weeks before he's supposed to come back. I talked to him that day after he worked out in the gym. I was supposed to see him that weekend. And then I get a call the next day from my brother, that he didn't wake up. And, your world stops. My world stopped. And, so the story unfolded. What happened? His girlfriend was able to get into his phone. We were able to read all the Snapchat messages with the person he got the pill from, a high schooler. And it ended up that he wanted his Xanax originally, and he ended up giving him something else. And he said, and Lance asked, we have it in the Snapchats, are you sure there's no, they call it fetty in it, and for fentanyl? And the kid said, no, this is a medication from my parents. It was a friend of a friend. And he picked it up. But it ended up being fentanyl. He had, autopsy, and fentanyl so potent, just a speck of dust. If you've not been exposed to it, it just, you'll fall asleep and never wake up. And that's what happened to Lance. That's what's happened to many young people. Unfortunately, like you said, that statistic during that period of time, it was the number one killer of our young people, even more than car accidents. So it is truly an epidemic, and it's something that when I could find my voice, I started creating videos to speak about Lance's story, because the stigma, and there's so much around it. And even one friend said to me, you should say that he died of a heart attack. And I was like,
oh no.
People have to know what happened first to honor in his life. And So it took 6 months because there was an investigation that we could talk about it, which was good for me because I really couldn't talk. But
I have to know, did anything happen to that young man that gave him the pill?
he was 17 and he ended up dying too. There was an investigation and they tracked, because they were trying to get to his supplier. It was in the Berkeley area when the DEA was involved. And so we were getting updates and they were tracking that young kid to get to his dealer and he ended up dying.
The same way?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he ended up dying of overdose but he was addicted. He was hooked. He knew what he was taking and it was a matter of time. I mean, it's tragic. In my mind, this young kid should have been picked up and he needed help.
Yeah.
So that he was used to be able, hopefully it led to something more. We don't really know, but that it's just so, it's sad and it's tragic. I knew I had to speak up about it. And I did. And thousands of people saw and reached out to me when I went on social media about it and thanked me. And so many parents, I was surprised, had no idea what was going on.
Thanks for sharing that about Lance. I know that was just really hard to relive that and, hearing about the circumstances not only of his death, but of the person who gave him the pill is just shocking. But I really have to, because I don't know all of your children, but I've certainly I've met them and I want the audience to know about them. And I'm just really curious how you as a family, how in the world you navigated that together, good or bad. I mean, just whatever you want to share.
Yeah, Claire. It's been a challenge, ups and downs, and something that really impacted the whole family was that Lance made it very clear what he thought of each of us. So we all knew what he wanted for us. And
In what way?
He was very clear with his siblings that he wanted the best for them. Like he was always, telling them that they could do it. And he was super smart, super creative. And so he made it very clear. So none of us were wondering how would Lance would want us to move through this. And we all knew that he would not want us to just use this as an excuse to just give up. As it's just so, I just wanted to go with him. I mean, a parent wants to follow their child. I mean, I hear that so often from parents, and that's how I felt. And the siblings really came together, and we created a celebration of life for Lance, and they put it together. I kind of sat back and watched them put together this beautiful memorial, celebration honoring Lance. And
so where was it that you came together like that physically? Where was it? It was in Berkeley.
It was in Berkeley and was actually at the Berkeley University on campus. We rented out a space. It was actually a space that Lance had already seen before, and he loved redwood trees. So we picked a place that we knew he liked. It overlooked this kind of park area that he really enjoyed going to.
Okay.
And the kids, my other 4 children, and Lance's 2 step siblings, they, some of them had to come to Sweden, some of them were in California, and one was in New York. We all came together and they put together this celebration. And I saw how important it was for them to be there and to laugh and to cry together. And they put together this beautiful video and they spoke about him and memories. And they also very intentionally said, we're not talking about him. We are talking to him. And I remember when Gabriel opened it up, he said, this is an offering to Lance. I'm giving this to you, Lance, and what I'm saying to you. And that's how they did it. Like they were speaking to him and you could feel Lance's presence in the room. It was so palpable. And because of that, it created this connection of love that just kind of really helped carry us from there, because then we all came to Sweden together, and being together was so important. And we spent this summer, after Lance passed, a lot of time together, and they each from there on took their own different paths. It's been 3.5 years. Right.
And tell me their names again, because I picture their faces and I know some of their names, but I don't know the order necessarily.
So Lance has a twin, Callie, and she's an artist, and she's now 24. Lance passed just before the 21st birthday. They had this big celebration plan to do it together. And so, she expresses in her artwork and of so much of her grief and her love, and the things that she kind of wrestles with comes out in her art and in her poetry, and it's really incredible. And then her sister, Aria, she was part of a grief group after a year. I was ready 6 months after, but after a year, because LITT also, Love in the Trenches, has a sibling grief group, and that was really good for her. And she made a good friend in New York who also, had a brother who she lost in a very similar way. So Aria has found her way, and she's just doing really amazing. And, and she said, I am doing better and being better because of Lance. Because I know he'd want me to do this. He'd want me, to do my best. And all the siblings have said that. And then Aria has a twin brother, Gabriel, and he's in LA, and he's an entrepreneur, and he's making his way. And he really wanted to be there for Lance as a big brother. And he's still taking that seriously. Like, he mentors other young men. So often they remind him of Lance, and he's really, he's just, he's doing the best he can, and he's amazing. And then there's Julian, who is the eldest.
And how old is Julian?
He's the only one that's not a twin. He was my first. So Julian's 30. The second set of twins are 27. And then Lance and Callie are 24. And Julian is, the eldest. And I think the oldest always feels a lot of responsibility. Mm-hmm. And it's hit all of us hard. And it's hit him really hard. And he has his times of struggling with it sometimes, and he's doing the best he can and creating a life that he loves, and he's really committed to that.
Yeah. And you just look like you could have a 30-year-old child.
Thank you.
I know. But one of the things I really love about how you've turned this into service is that you've already came into it with so much experience in yoga and Chinese medicine. And could you just talk a little bit about how you've helped others move through grief connected to their body? Because it's just a concept that's, I'm sure, needs to be experienced instead of talked about. But if there may be people listening that are in grief that have it stuck somewhere, or I don't know, whatever you want to talk about that.
Oh yeah, no, this is actually perfect perfect time to talk about it. Actually before this podcast, I'm working on a series for Love in the Trenches of some yoga specifically for grief, because it does get stuck in the body. And it's been scientifically written about by therapists, and how trauma and this kind of loss is very traumatic. Some losses are more traumatic than others. But still, we hold so much emotion and trauma in our bodies, and we're not really conscious of it. So through some very gentle meditation and yoga, I'll lead restorative yoga classes online for the parents, and also parents who have children that are struggling right now too. We have support groups. LITT has support groups for them too. And they still have grief and loss. So I'm working on a series now for the holidays, a little meditation, like 10-minute sessions, like 30 minutes of a very gentle restorative, and then about a 20 to 30-minute Yoga Nidra. Deep sleep, restful, guided. Yeah. Meditation while you're lying down. And also so many parents talk about, and people in grief, that they can't sleep because we distract ourselves during the day, which is you even talked about it. Hearing you talk. But at night, that's when often the grief comes up. When the nervous system calms down, and then we move into the parasympathetic system, and then all of the feelings and start bubbling up, and that can wake us up so often in the middle of the night. So I've been working with many years. I did therapies to help calm and activate the parasympathetic system, and I'm finding I'm still pulling on that, and now not physically working on people, but through guided meditation and restorative yoga. And that led to the retreats that we have. I lead grief. Yeah, so people
talk about the retreats, because that was amazing what you and Mats did at it's a farmhouse in the country in Sweden, right?
We have this big farmhouse in Sweden, and we thought, because parents keep saying, I want to see you, I want to be together. We're an online community. I'm here in the countryside, no support groups to go to. Most of the parents are in the US, but I know I experienced the power of retreat for myself, and how amazing would it be if we could do this here? So we created the space, and I didn't even know if parents would come. And it's something that I really had to lean into trusting. And this is where my connection to Lance, I have a very strong connection with him. And I thought, how can I even step into this? How can I create a space? But I knew that this space was so needed. And I also had experienced the deep, deep love underneath the grief. And I felt like other parents also need the opportunity to dive in and retreat from their everyday lives for this kind of experience. And I heard Lance say, Mom, you're not alone. I'm with you. So I really do feel his presence. And the retreats really feel like they're being, for me, it's totally about service and stepping in. And when the parents come together, it's incredible. The love, it's the parents in love with each other. One parent, we just had our last one about 2 months ago. And one mom said to me, and it's been over a year, and she said, for the first time, I feel normal. Oh, because I'm not being judged. I don't have to hide. And you all understand without me having to say anything. And that's in that space, something begins to heal. Yeah. So we can kind of integrate our grief more and go back into our world.
I'm just, I've thought about this a lot, and I'd like to know your opinion. Is there because you've done, you have your grief educator certificate and you've really, educated yourself in this topic beyond just experiencing it. But is there a way that people who aren't going through grief, but we all will go through grief, is there a way, in your opinion, that people can prepare themselves for what's going to inevitably come?
That's a really great question, Claire. And that's something I've asked myself. And what comes up for me first is, and this is a word we often use, especially grief group leaders when we have our meetings, resilience. Like how some people are more resilient than others. And I've really thought about this. And for myself, why do I feel like this is something why does this give me purpose to step into being with other parents and leading them and hearing their stories? And I feel it's been all the years of meditation. And I really do learning how to connect to stillness and the experience of when I was a teenager, I experienced that deep unconditional love. And for me, that has been my saving grace, where I go to when I have some really, really hard, difficult feelings. Like I'm just actually creating a meditation session right now for what we're talking about, and creating a sacred altar. And this is something I do, a sacred altar in my own heart, where I let everything I feel be. I offer everything to the sacred altar where it's unconditional love. It's that same unconditional love. And I remember it. I bring it back into my body, and I hold myself and all of my grief and all of my hard feelings. Because when Lance passed, and I've heard this from other people who have had losses, very deep losses, that all of the past wounds come up. And that happened. And I was like, how can you be with this? And then be present and show up in life and show up for family, show up for yourself, and have meaning in life. So this is a practice I do for myself. And it's something that now has become more meaningful. And it's something I've done throughout my life without knowing it, in my meditation practice and in my yoga practice. But now it's intentional. Now I intentionally hold myself, my wounds. And a very important part, and I will lead sometimes my grief, the parents in my group, through we'll do a little mindfulness meditation at the beginning, not to judge anything that comes up, any pain, any wounds, because so often we have judgments about it. So really practicing unconditional love for ourselves, which is the hard part. We can often do that for others.
Yes.
But and then there's this space that happens to be able to move through life, through difficult things and decisions. And it's not that it's perfect, but it gives me a little space to be able to access my heart and my wisdom. And I feel like that prepares me. Like if I went to someone's graduation, a family member graduation a couple months ago, seeing all of these young men graduating Lance's age, to me, that's the most triggering thing. And I wanted to support, this other young man. And I was like, I don't think I can go. This is too much. I know this is the trigger, and you learn your triggers. And, seeing young men about Lance's age, moving on in their lives is really hard. That's, another loss of what could have been. And so I acknowledged this to myself. I gave myself some space to really hold my feelings instead of just pushing him down, because I knew I would not have made it.
Yeah.
I would have run out. I wouldn't have shown up. I wouldn't have been present for him, which I wanted to be.
Right.
This is Samuel's son, and he was very close with Lance.
Yeah.
So I gave him some space.
Mm.
Really allowed my feelings to come. I put my feelings on the sacred altar of my heart and really wrapped myself in unconditional love and understood, that it's okay not to be okay right now. It's okay to feel all these feelings and not push them away. Otherwise, it would have come. It's like a wave. Like they talk about grief as waves. The more you resist it, the stronger it comes.
Yeah.
It's not resisting it. It's like allowing it to come through. So this is something we talk about in the group, is preparing ourselves for an event, like allowing ourselves to feel those feelings so we don't show up and then we're just wiped out by the grief wave. And we're not showing up in life. It's
I'm just really thinking about how the global population is walking around in a state of grief and mourning, whether it's their own or what they're seeing on TV, or just sort of even a collective grief, over so many different topics. But it's, when you talk about the power of meditation, that is something that you just don't do overnight. It really takes practice, years of practice, but it's never too late to just take 5 minutes of your day and breathe, be silent and breathe. And I know that a lot of people listening might not understand, because I didn't understand it. What does it mean to connect with your heart? Where's my heart? What's my heart? That was just such a abstract concept that my logical mind couldn't do that until really I started meditating and experiencing that. But it's hard to describe an experience, you do it very well.
Well, I feel before Lance, I never could have described this. Because like I said, I was meditating and experiencing this deep peace. But I never had a reason why I felt like I need to really experience peace. Like life wasn't that bad. But after Lance, I was like, I don't know how I'm going to continue to live. This pain is so bad. And it's not that meditation took it away, but my practice of being able to connect to stillness. I couldn't sit and meditate for over a year, but the practice, it's like this muscle that was conditioned to connect to stillness. In that place, I was able to hold myself. And now I can describe it because it's what I experience. It's what I've done. It's what I lead other parents in now. And I feel
to have that experience.
It's like a gift to give. Yes. And it's now we're really holding myself with this love that I never really intentionally had done before. Well,
now,
Lance.
Say that again.
That's a gift from Lance.
Yeah.
I feel, and to be able to give to others that I never would have received on my own.
So I've gone onto the LITT website. It's a beautiful website, and there's just a whole page dedicated to you, where you're featured on it and teaching the yoga and teaching the meditation. And
it's open to everybody.
It's
a free resource, and more is coming.
Oh my God, that is so wonderful. It's wonderful for people that, I'm just going to say, whether you've experienced the loss of a child, I hope to God that's not the truth, but if you've experienced any loss, or if you want to prepare for a loss that will be imminent, being able to grasp some of these concepts. And I'll have the link in the show notes, but go to those those videos that Prema has posted there and
Yes.
just see what we're talking about, because you really do have to experience it. You have to experience it. It's not an intellectual concept.
Yeah. And also there was a point where I feel anyone in deep grief they come to a point where they have a choice to make. To really connect to that place that's underneath the grief, that place where the grief comes from because of this incredible loss, because of the incredible, incredible love that we have for who we lost. So and that's a choice. And it takes time. Sometimes we just need to be in the really, really hard feelings. And also I found that I had to feel them. It wasn't bypassing them. It was by going in them and holding them in my heart with deep, deep love and compassion and no judgment. And that was a real, real important part of it.
Well, you've really inspired me just watching your journey, and it has, things sort of have come together, but it's just like I mentioned in my earlier video that I have been avoiding this topic. I work with people till the time of their death, and then it's like on to the next person. And and I have watched you and have been around others and seeing how they are managing or not managing their grief. And it is something that I'm ready to look at now. And
Yeah.
once I started looking at it, I was aware of decades of things that have been repressed that had to come out and are coming out. And I'm really going to focus on that this year. I'm just going to give myself that time to not necessarily become a grief educator like you are, but to at least be comfortable with the subject. And if I can help someone, great. And I just had no awareness that there was so much to learn about grief and bereavement that can be taught as a skill to serve others or share with others, or not fix people, but support people. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like you said, it's not, we can't fix or cure or change, but we can be with each other and witnessing each other's grief and connecting in community is so powerful. Just you talking about this, Claire, is so amazing. We're talking about this. And I never could have talked about this before, Lance. I didn't have that deep experience. And like you said, now you're making a choice. And to get comfortable, I was never comfortable until I faced it until I was with my grief. I couldn't be with anyone else's grief until I was with mine fully to the very, very bottom of it. I thought I wouldn't even survive it. And I was like, whoa, but I knew I had to go there. And I was just so surprised when I discovered the root for myself, not because someone else said it, but I discovered it in my own self. And that's what I feel like, when you receive a gift, it's, well, I got to share. And
in all of this work that you've done, I'm just curious what your own thoughts about your own death are.
I think about it a lot. I've been on the yoga path for many years. They say, think about your death. I was like, never really, I don't know. It didn't really mean much to me. I would think about, how would I die? How did I want to die? Now I think about it, and I'm just going to be totally honest. I think about it as coming home. And I think about it, I hope to be comfortable. I'm just so much respect for you, what you do. I hope to be comfortable when I transition, something I'm very grateful that Lance was. it could have been different. Very grateful for that. And I look forward. He's come to me, and I've had such amazing experiences of him in the afterlife that I don't have the fear of leaving my body. I just want to make sure everybody I leave behind is good. Like, I just want to be with my children and make the best memories. That's what I think about when I think of my death. Like, how are they going to be left when I leave?
Yeah.
It's not about me anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful. I just love being with you. I mean, there's something about your presence and your energy that it's calming, it is reassuring, it is vulnerable and painful. It's painful to feel someone else's pain, and yeah, I am so happy for you, how far you've come, and thank you for everything. The work that you're doing is just so amazing, and I really look forward to staying in touch and being able to watch where you go with this. And yeah, I'm really grateful to you. You've been an inspiration to me. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Claire. Thank you. And I mean, it's just been such a gift to be here and to share. And I also want to share that Love in the Trenches, it's a nonprofit that was co-founded by this beautiful woman, Kelly, who lost her son. So I am so immensely grateful to her and for her, courage to create something that we can all show up for others. And so it's just so much love at the bottom of the grief that just continues to unfold, that, like us being here, always like in awe of, like, okay, I did not expect this.
Well,
Never will.
I'm just really hoping that people will go to the link below and to go to the Love in the Trenches website. And there is a donate button if people feel called to do that, but just go to the Prema's page and do some of the free yoga and meditation.
We're going to be adding more. The Kelly's are very intentional. More added. We're talking about it. So more is to come for the holiday season and to share with loved ones who you think need it. And also our retreats.
Yes.
Our retreats are Soham Retreats.
And when is the next retreat? Is it scheduled?
It's scheduled for the end of July. It's
in Sweden.
And that's the Sweden retreat. So we're going to have some other retreats.
Oh, okay.
Hopefully in the U.S. But yeah. So there you can find out about retreats.
Come to Western Australia, do a retreat here.
Oh, that'd be fantastic.
Good. You have a place to stay.
I mean, this work, I really feel wherever I'm called to go. So it was called to go to Australia. I've always wanted to go and to be with others.
Yeah.
In space, because I really think of it as a sacred space, of our broken and our open heart. There's a gift there, even though it's so painful. There's also so much love.
Thank you, Prema. I just really adore you, and thank you for everything.
Well, it's been a gift to be here, Claire. And it's been a pleasure to learn more about you and your story.
Oh, we could talk on and on, but I've taken enough of your time now. So thank you for this beautiful time together.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us on Dying Your Way. If it's inspired you, then please spread the word. Leave a rating and review so others can find out about us. To learn more, connect with us on Facebook or our website at dyingyourway.com. A special thank you for the artist Mel Dobra for letting us use her song, Smoke and Flame as the soundtrack of our show. I invite you to return, hear each episode, and be part of the conversation on death literacy. I am Claire O'Berry, and this is Dying Your Way.